In today's video, we're going to speed up this computer by taking out the old hard drive and replacing it with an SSD. Roll that intro. What's going on, guys? Chad here from How To Tech, the channel dedicated to helping you take your tech to the next level, and we are actually messing with a computer today. We're going to be taking the hard drive out of it and putting an SSD into this computer to help it run faster for the user of this computer. And that's going to be really great because SSDs have actually gone down in price a ton since they were, first came out, and it's going to bring new life to this Windows 8 computer, but that's what the user uses, and we might actually go ahead and upgrade it to Windows 10 today, but it's just going to be a lot faster using an SSD. And also, with that being said, I want to welcome somebody in to Frame now, somebody that is, knows this user and has actually provided these SSDs and said, hey, let's record a video on this, and is actually part of How To Tech now. And we've got another person as well, and we're going to try to start getting them in videos every once in a while. So come on over here, CJ. So this is CJ. You're probably not gonna be able to hear him well because I've got the lapel mic on, but, and yeah, I need to make sure I set my frame cropping a little bit different whenever he's in frame with me, but this is CJ.
Hey guys, I've been a part of How To Tech for a little while. I help Chad out with anything that he asks of me, and yeah, we're trying to upgrade this computer for someone that I built it for quite a few years ago, and it seemed like an appropriate video for the channel.
All right, so without further ado, let's actually dive into, first testing the computer and seeing how long it takes to boot. So I'm gonna walk over here to the front of the computer and press the gigantic power button on the front of this thing, and we'll put a countdown on screen or a timer on screen to see how long it actually boots to the Windows login screen. So let's see how long this takes. Okay, so it is booted to the login screen of Windows 8, and what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna have CJ go ahead and sign into the computer since he knows the username and password, and we're gonna see how long it takes to where Windows isn't loading anything else. So as soon as he presses enter, we'll do another countdown or a timer there and see how long all of this takes, because this might actually take just a minute. Still loading. Okay, so it has fully booted, and I don't believe it's trying to start any more programs or background processes. That is something else we're probably gonna make a video on as well, because even if you have an SSD, if you have like 30 programs trying to start when the computer is first booted, it can run really slow, and that's something that's very easy to actually turn off and will help speed up your computer, definitely on boot time and even whenever you're just using it throughout the day, and help it run a lot faster. It's not gonna be running all of that junk that you don't need right now. So yeah, it's loaded everything, and we've got a baseline for essentially how long it takes to boot, and then how long it takes to actually get to Windows to sign in and be what I would consider acceptable to start using. So what we're gonna do now is we're actually going to take the computer apart, take the hard drive out, and replace it with an SSD. I think we might actually leave it in so the user can still have access to their old files, and we might just go ahead and install Windows 10 on it. So without further ado, let's jump into the actual taking a computer apart on a PC tech channel for the first time. Let's do that. Sucker's been going for at least 2 minutes.
It doesn't have an doing anything.
No. We just had to talk crap. All right, so the computer shut down, and we're gonna throw up on screen how long it took for this thing to shut down, because I think it took at least 2 to 3 minutes. We'll see what it looks like in post, but that is ridiculous for a machine to take that long to just shut off. But yeah, another thing we want to mention before we go ahead and take this apart, it is not hard to replace a drive in a computer. The main thing that you may run into is getting Windows installed on it. Getting Windows installed is not hard. You can use Windows, I believe it's media setup tool or whatever. You just download it on your other computer, put it on a flash drive. And even some companies that sell SSDs sell kits to clone the SSD from the hard drive, which makes it like just that easy, super easy. A benefit of SSDs over hard drives are that CJ actually just dropped this drive in the floor, but you don't have to worry about it losing data, and they're a lot more resilient in that fact of you can drop these on the floor. Doesn't mean you should drop your technology on the floor like a very popular tech channel out there. I think CJ was trying to emulate in this build, but no shade there, but we're definitely gonna try not to drop anything else. So first things first, we're gonna take the side panel off. Those are normally held on with some screws. These are not capacitive screws, or self-retaining, or whatever you'd call those, not capacitive. But yeah, you just take that, you can drop the side panel off, and then all we've got to do now is find the drive bay. So this is an older computer, and I actually do not see a 2.5 drive mount, and that's because this computer case is really old, and so is this computer. But this goes to show that if you build a computer yourself, you can upgrade it yourself, but you may run into some bottlenecks of not being able to install or mount something like this SSD properly. But you can go on Amazon, pick up a drive sled for 2.5 to 3.5 conversion. Super cheap, I would assume, for under probably $5 or $10, and go ahead and throw it in here. But it just means you're going to be able to upgrade stuff a lot easier because you're not buying something that's pre-manufactured with proprietary parts, and it's just gonna be that much easier. So we know that this hard drive inside, you might not be able to see it too well, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and get an up close shot in a second whenever we start really pulling on some stuff in here. We're going to leave that for the user's files, and we're gonna go ahead and install this now. So we're gonna go ahead and set the camera up a little bit closer, let you guys see what's going on, and we're gonna get to it. Easiest thing that I can say is to go ahead and lay the computer down flat, but for the shot that we're trying to get, we're gonna go ahead and leave it standing up, and because we've got some experience with working on this stuff before, I've done this many times, so it's not that difficult for me, but if you're uncomfortable with it, it's very easy to just go ahead and lay this thing completely flat and then work inside of this case. So what we need to do is we need to supply power to the SATA power, which is the bigger connector on the SSD, and then SATA data, which is going to carry information back and forth to the motherboard on this smaller connector right here. If we can go ahead and zoom in on that, that would probably make it a lot easier for you guys to tell what those are. And yeah, so this is where it comes to the fun part of looking through this very old power supply and seeing if we can find a SATA connector that we need. I can see that this is SATA here, and normally they're jumped off together, but that goes down to a different type of port, which I believe is a floppy disk port. And that is Molex. We've got Molex here as well. And looks like we may have came into a little roadblock right now. So this is something you may experience when trying to upgrade your own computer, and that is that we actually only have 2 SATA connectors. The rest are older Molex power plugs, which is useful for older hard drives and older fan systems and hubs that you would plug in inside of this. But for this computer right here, this just isn't gonna cut it. So what we're gonna have to do, unfortunately, is pull off the disk drive up here, and we're gonna have to run power and data through those connectors. What this would mean is if they still wanted to run 2 drives and DVD drive, they would actually have to go ahead and replace this power supply, which this is unfortunately something that happens if you've been running the same power supply for probably 6 to 7 years, which is, I believe, what this case is on this machine. And we're gonna go ahead and just disconnect the disk drive right now. And if that's something that they really need connected, we'll talk to them about that, about possibly replacing the power supply or just removing the hard drive entirely after they get their files and everything the way that they want them. So first things first, we're gonna go ahead and unhook the SATA data. It's got a little clip on top, push the clip down and it'll slide out. And then we're gonna unhook the SATA data. The SATA data actually just kind of pulls straight out. If you need to, you might need to wiggle it just a hair to get it to come out. And this is what I'm talking about. It's this easy. You just plug the SATA data right in. It normally will make a clip sound. I'm not hearing it do so, but I believe it is seated in there pretty properly. Maybe that clip's not the best. And then we'll go ahead and plug in the SATA power. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the SATA data and the SATA powers will only plug in one way. So don't try to force those to plug in a certain way. Check it, they'll have like a little L on each one, and just make sure that you're lining those up properly. You may need to flip your drive or your cable to get that to go in properly. Now that we've got this done, we're gonna go ahead and just slide this in on this drive bay, even though it doesn't fit, and that'll be okay for now. So what we need to do now is probably leave the side panel off. And the reason why I'd say that is if you work on computers, 90% of the time whenever you go to put the side panel back on and you think it's just gonna be done, you're gonna run into problems, you're gonna get irritated, take the side panel off, leave it open until you understand that everything is working properly, then you can put your side panel back on. Just a recommendation from somebody that has made that mistake way too many times. So before we go ahead and actually power this thing up, we're going to unplug the SATA data cable, the smaller of the two, from the original hard drive. The reason we're gonna do this is because we don't want to boot to this right now whenever we're installing Windows, and it's gonna make us less likely to wipe the data from this and less likely from installing Windows 10 over the top of it. That way, the only drive that's actually plugged in is the SSD that we want to install Windows on. This isn't gonna be a video for installing Windows. We might make one of those in the future, but just something to keep in mind. So now we're gonna go ahead and hook everything up to this thing and see how long it takes to boot. All right, so we went ahead and installed Windows 10 on the SSD that we just put in this computer. It's time to go ahead and press the power button and see how long it takes to boot. So let's go ahead and do that. And hopefully, I'm trying to be confident enough to say that we might not even need to cut to a quick little time lapse of how long this takes to boot. And we will go from the time we press the button. Yes, the BIOS will slow it down a little bit depending on what BIOS you have, but the computer is now booted, which is significantly faster. So what I'm gonna do is sign into an account that I just created on this computer and see how long it takes to sign into that account. So we're doing that now, pressing enter, and it immediately went into the user account. What was that, half a second? So yes, half a second. So yeah, all we need to do now is copy the user data over, and they now have a significantly faster machine for browsing the internet, running programs and all that stuff. It's gonna speed up a ton of things for this user, and they did not even need to upgrade their 7-year-old CPU, old RAM, and even the power supply if they're fine without having a disk drive, or if they just want to go ahead and remove the old hard drive, which I'd probably recommend at this point because that thing is very, very slow. So yeah, guys, that's how quick and easy it is to speed up your PC with literally one purchase. And you can do that for, you know, depending on the amount of size of hard drive or, SSD that you want. You could do that from anywhere from like 30 bucks up to, you know, you could obviously spend more money on SSDs and get higher storages, but you know, there's also NVMEs out there as well, but this is just with a SATA SSD that brought new life to this very old computer. So all right guys, that's gonna be all for this video on how to speed up your old computer by replacing the hard drive with an SSD. Hope this is useful for some of you out there. It is a fairly easy upgrade and does not require a lot of money, like I just mentioned, and it's great. It will make your computer seem 10 times, if not 20 times more responsive. You're gonna be less likely to run into crashes from programs or videos or things on the internet just being super slow for you because it's just taking forever to read your programs and stuff off of your drive. So if this video has been helpful for you, you know what to do. Go ahead and destroy that like button. If you're not already, go ahead and get subscribed to How To Tech down below and possibly become a member today to get early access to our YouTube videos, access to polls, community posts, and even get discounts on How To Tech merch like you've seen CJ and I wear in this video. If you guys also want to check out our community Discord, it'll be linked down below. We've got over 8,000 people, and it's a great place to share your live stream, share your YouTube videos, and collaborate with other creators. Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Chad from How To Tech, helping you speed up your computer and take your tech to the next level, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.